everything that I said. When they came, you were not prepared. Then it all fell right on your head. And now you're lying in your bed. You've got yourself in a rabbit hole. You're trapped 'cause you did not let go. You took that bait and now you...
Hey everyone.
Hi.
It's Carrie and Carrie.
Carrie and Carrie.
Atlas Eats the Apple.
Oh, Silver Linings, Stardust, The Shiny Show.
Yep, YouTube. You can check her out. Okay, this is our first ever weigh-in, a critique of a Hollywood metaphysical film.
I love that idea. Kind of keeps us focused too, because we're like. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
Well, on my website, aliceeatstheapple.com, I have a section just for metaphysical shows, things that resonate, things that I have learned to be true, and you wonder if they're getting them as downloads and they're writing these movies.
I know,
anyway,
huh?
so today's show, first one is The Adjustment Bureau with
Starring
Matt Damon and
Emily Blunt.
Yes, and it's really, really good. And we, if you haven't watched the film, push pause, go watch it, because we don't want to give too much away if you haven't already seen it, because we're going to give it all away.
I saw it, but I completely forgot about it, so it was like a brand new movie for me.
How long ago did you see it?
Probably when it first got released on video, like a million years ago. I don't know.
You don't go to the movies?
Sometimes, but I'm sure that was a rental for me. It's just how I am.
It's one that I sort of stumbled upon, and Matt Damon's done a couple of them. He did also The Hereafter, where he's a psychic medium. Anyways, but we just sort of wanted to apply what we know and what the films offer.
You know what I do? It's I've always done this, and I'm just gonna kind of expose myself a little bit. But when I was like deep in my crazy with my twin, every single movie I would watch, I would somehow manage to like associate it with my own personal relationships or whatever.
Is that right?
Totally. And here's an example. He's really, really tall and I'm really, really short. So when I watch Star Wars and Princess Leia would hug Chewbacca, I'd burst into tears and go, that's us! But this movie also, I related to a bunch of different things. Did you?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I've seen the guy in the bowler hat. Okay, so
right.
Let's give it.
Okay,
I want to give like an
go
overview.
Give the
of
synopsis.
The film. Yes, and so Matt Damon had a couple of tragedy type things. He lost his mother, his mom, and his brother early on. Fast forward, his dad took him on a trip when he was 10 to DC. He kind of feels the magic, and he wants to grow up and be a politician.
He wants to change the world.
Yes, and so he's the youngest ever senator, and then he does some silly things, and he gets it taken away, and then he runs again, and he just has this burning desire to do these things. So
a nudge, some would say, a calling.
Well, that's the film. So he ends up losing. He loses, and the night that he's giving his "I lost" speech, he's in the bathroom by himself, and he's going over his speech. He's a really great guy, going over this speech, and Emily Blunt is in the bathroom.
Pops out of a stall and
she's
surprises him.
The chemistry between them, I think, is incredible. I mean, I think I just adore him and I adore her. And did you know that she stutters?
Does she?
Oh. They asked her to be head of a stuttering thing, and she's like, yeah, no thanks. Anyway, so I digress. So they meet. It's instant. It's really, really powerful. And she inspires him to go out and give a speech that really kind of sets him up for the next time to run.
Right.
And that's all it's supposed to be. So he has this guide, what we would call guide. We call them angels. You call them all different things. He has this guide, and his mission is, he has this book, and it's to keep him on track. And it's to keep him on track for what? Who knows? But free will is out the door. Anyway, that comes in a bit. But so he has this, and he's supposed to, because he's not supposed to see her again. So this guide is supposed to pour coffee on him accidentally, which makes him have to go back upstairs and change clothes, and then he misses this bus and he doesn't see her. But instead, the guide falls asleep, and he gets on the bus and he sees her.
Yep.
So boom, it's even more powerful than before. Anyway, so the whole thing is about keeping them apart, and he keeps going off the rails. And at one point he walks into this office and he sees them, he sees the adjustment folks.
Slash
and they make
guides.
these little adjustments. So a friend of his, he has this idea, and the friend's like, yeah, I don't think we're going with your idea. Well, the adjustment group comes in and kind of scans him and changes his mind so that he goes with it. So Matt Damon walks in and he sees this happening, and everybody's frozen. It's like the Matrix is completely...
Right, they're like froze. They're statues.
While they're working on his buddy, and he's like, what the heck is going on? And they're like, oh, you weren't supposed to see that. And anyway, so it goes from there. It's such a good movie. I'm not sure that we're really relaying it well.
Well, we are, I don't know if you did your little disclosure to shut it off and go watch it.
I did.
Okay, so, but we're just going to tell stuff. So if you didn't go watch it, you're just going to find out some stuff.
Well, if you're watching us, then you would really like this film. And it's Matt Damon. He can't do a shitty film. He just can't.
Watch it again. It's one of those. Okay, so tell me about your bowler hat stuff.
So, as most or a lot of you know, I've seen the bowler hat guy. So when I was, and that's in this film, these guys, how they move around so quickly, so stealth-like, is they wear these hats. And it can be any hat. I mean, it can be a police officer's hat, a baseball cap, a bowler hat. And when they turn a doorknob, they go to another part. Like, you can turn a doorknob and all of a sudden you're on Ellis Island. You can walk through a different door, turn a doorknob, and all of a sudden you're at Fenway Park. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Is Fenway in New York?
I do not know.
I don't think it is. Anyway.
The baseball park.
Different, Mets. I don't know. Dodgers. But I think the Dodgers.
They used to be in New York, so you're on to something.
Yeah.
Keep going.
They were, and they moved in like 1950 something. I actually looked that up. So
your guy, the hat.
My guy, the bowler hat guy. So I looked when I was, I don't know, it was probably 8 or 9, and I'm sorry if you've heard this, but there was a wall with 2 windows, and my bed was up against the wall, and my feet, like I woke up with my head where my feet are supposed to be, and vice versa.
Oop.
Mm-hmm. And we're out in the country, especially at that time it really was, and it was a full moon, and I just remember in like our garage was attached to the house, that it wasn't attached, like there was a walkway and then the garage, so I could look down and see the garage door, and I see this man, trench coat, bowler hat, and he's looking up at me. And I just remember oh shit, what is that? If I don't move, you won't see me, type thing. And it was terrifying. Not him, just the idea of some dude looking up at you in the middle of the night.
Right.
And I'm a kid, and I can't see. Even then, I couldn't see, and I could see him clear as, look at that leaf. I could see him clear as a bell. And I went back because I wasn't sure if this was like something I dreamt, something, I don't know. So I went back and asked my mother not too long ago, a couple of years ago now, and I'll be 48 next week. And so this was quite some time ago. And she said, oh yeah, I do remember that because there was some guy lurking around the house and kind of made me a little bit nervous. So, and then subsequently I've asked people, Jamie
Butler?
Yes. She's like, oh my God, I've seen that guy. She saw him. David Cossidis, who's been on the show, he has seen him. I was in a cute little store. Oh, the store Cookout, where we met that wonderful family. Mm-hmm. And I heard my guide say, ask about the bowler hat guy. And before I could ask her, she asked me, who is the guy in the trench coat with the hat? And so a lot of people have seen him. And if you Google it, all this like scary stuff comes up. And it wasn't. What I understand it to be is either they want to be seen, they're checking on you, they're sort of the watchers, mm-hmm. And yes, I do think that they correct and they make sure that we're out of harm's way, and so I think it's really interesting. So the movie did have a tie for me.
You don't know about this story, but my other friend Carrie that I'm going to go see tonight, her and I were up in Portland one time, and we were just being jokey, but we were being sneaky all through the city. And we were joking about the bowler hat guy because we were really seeing somebody around, and we just thought it was a coincidence.
How long was this? I know you've known her forever.
Yeah, this is pre-wake up, so I think it was even pre-kid. Ooh, so that was a long time ago. So no, it couldn't have been pre-kids. Like 8-10 years ago. I don't know. But so I've had my own piece of him, but I didn't take it seriously at the time.
Oh, and I'll post it. So I was in New York this past weekend, and walking down the hall to our room, right outside of my room is this hat. There's this picture taken, maybe the 30s, and it's hundreds and hundreds. And they used to wear hats back then, and the main guy is standing up in a bowler hat, trench coat, and there are just hundreds of guys with bowler hat, trench coat. So, and then someone else asked me about it yesterday. They wrote and asked me about it, and so I'm thinking that there's a connection. That's probably why I'm watching the film again. That's why it's our first film. So let's talk about the idea that there is no free will.
You know what? Because that's what this movie kind of says. They're trying to adjust it and stuff like that, and they question that. What is up with free will? And my personal thought when I was watching that is, it's a good thing that we do have it, because as persons with free will, there truly is no wrong answer. Because in this movie, they kept saying it's supposed to be this way. It's supposed to be this way. We have to readjust it to make it the right way. But we don't, and as humans, we really feel like it needs to be a certain way. But the reality is, we're here to learn, and there is no right, wrong. It's all just is. So I took kind of like a personal comfort in knowing that you can't fuck up, because no matter what you do, it's still an experience to take back home with you. Whereas in this movie, when the paths deviate, things don't happen as they're supposed to. Now, having said that, it very much reminded me of the story I heard from Voltaire when I would interview him.
Now, who was Voltaire?
Voltaire is a French philosopher, poet from a couple hundred years ago, and he is also part of my soul family. My higher self, my oversoul.
What's the difference?
My higher self would be at this level. That's the one I share with the 6. We have 6 identical energies that came from this higher. So here's God, here's the oversoul, here are the higher selves. We'll come back to the oversoul. This oversoul split over here, and this oversoul is the oversoul of Voltaire. So that's like, oh, that's soul-y stuff. But what I learned from Voltaire's life was he was so in love with this woman, Emily, that he was not...
Emily Blunt.
That's funny. He was not doing his life's work, and he had important things to say to change the world. So the higher selves, it wasn't like the guides. Well, I guess it was the guides, because our higher selves are our guides.
Yeah.
The higher selves renegotiated to have poor Emily die due to complications of childbirth.
Or maybe Emily's higher self said, we gotta go.
Well,
maybe she did it.
No, she did. Emily's higher self and Voltaire's higher self, they all decided on this. They're like, you're not doing your work,
she's
Voltaire.
A distraction.
She's a distraction. That's exactly what happened. And because of that, he went ahead and did all the writings that he was supposed to do.
Well, he was also probably they say that, like, Adele, her music is so great because she was in that heartbroken place when she wrote it.
Yes.
Don't you write some of your... It's so funny. I love the sun just like shines this little halo on you.
So I'm angelic. That's all it is.
So, you know what? But that is part of... So that's the general gist of this whole film, is that this guide feels really, really bad, and he's willing to help him. He said that he had to take the mom... He took the... In the show, he says he took the mom out, the brother dies, and he has always felt horrible about that. But and so he's willing to help him figure out how to be with this woman, or at least answer some questions, and he's kind of protecting him.
He broke a few rules.
He did break a few rules, but the whole point is he was supposed to go on, Matt Damon was supposed to go on to become president so that he could affect change. And that from day one, they had tapped him for that role and to do these things. And so she was supposed to come along and just inspire him. And instead, what the contract had been rewritten several times, and in those other versions, they were together. And so they're feeling the echo of that, and that's why he is just determined.
There's such
to find her.
a draw, and I can relate to that because I am in not 1 but 2 twin flame relationships, and that draw.
Tri-flame? That's getting a little. That's
It's a threesome.
I knew it. Oh, yep. 9 minutes.
But no, but the draw really is there, and they kept. And another thing is that they're throughout their lifetimes they would come together and be pulled apart, and they wouldn't understand that. I mean, it's such an intense draw, so I related to that too.
Was that on your list?
Was it? I don't think it was. Oh, I did. Knowing that person is like, why do I love this person so much? Because it really does happen in an instant.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and you don't even know who this person is. You're just like in love with a stranger, and you invent them, and that creates a lot of problems. I'm going to talk about that in my own video on silver linings soon.
You start filling in your own blanks.
Yeah, it's called overlay. I have a whole story about that, but something else that I really want to talk to everybody about it. I invite input on this. I want to know what you think about the way, well, I can't remember. Tell me in the movie when they did stuff, like the way they would control stuff. I guess like the coffee spilling and things like that.
Well, or the mother dies. Or
yeah, so there were a lot of things that happened, and I wonder.
But it wasn't to punish, and it wasn't.
No.
It was to set up the scenario.
I have had some setups lately, and here's one of them, and it's both on Facebook. And
It's on your Facebook page, the story?
No.
Oh, it deals with Facebook.
Yeah, I think that the guides, the Adjustment Bureau, is fucking and manipulating my Facebook wall. And let me tell you why. I'm getting a little bit personal right here, but I don't care. I tell all my stories anyway, and it's all going to come out eventually.
She's a little see-through.
I'm a little see-through.
You're like a ghost.
But one of the things is that, you know, I'm in this transition. I have given up one twin relationship, and I'm venturing off on another one. Not necessarily. You have periods of separation, and then you come back together. So I am definitely a separation with one, and the other one popped into Facebook for the first time. As long as I've known him.
Thing 1 and Thing 2.
Thing 1 and Thing 2. So this one's Thing 2. He wasn't on Facebook for the longest time, and all of a sudden he joined Facebook, and I kept looking for him, and I couldn't find him, and I'd say, because we communicate through WhatsApp. I said, I can't find you. He goes, I'm there.
Eloped.
I have 2 instances like this. So then, but this is what happened though. So he's not there, and then he and I hit this place of separation. So I'm like, okay, here's space. We're having space. But I keep looking for him anyway, and I happen to find him. Finally, I'm like, well, there he is. And I was meant to see him the day I was meant to see him, because it was the day my shit hit the fan, and it was the day I got tired of the other twin and unfriended him. Oh, no, it wasn't quite then, but it was around then. Sorry, I'm messing my story up. But the thing is that I wasn't allowed to see him on Facebook until I got to a place of the perfect moment, because when I saw the Thing 2, he had a mutual friend that rubbed me the wrong way. And I was meant to see this. It was meant to trigger me. So anyway, I'm getting to the point is that I feel like somebody manipulated Facebook, so I couldn't find him, and I couldn't find him until the one moment where I did go back and see that there was something else that was going to piss me off. And another instance of this.
So they wanted you to get angry.
They wanted me to be triggered, and they wanted me to be triggered on that day. It was the same day I let go of one, and then that day, and then another day I went ahead and I accepted that friendship from the other one. I keep on unplugging from one and plugging into another. It's a strange thing. I know. I have multiples. I just haven't pulled them out yet. But here's the other one. The other one is that I know that you know the story of the guy I met on the airplane that I just was like this with. We just, you know, he lives here, and you know, we just hit it off so well. And he was like, I know you. I feel like I have a past life connection with you. And I didn't necessarily feel that. He said all kinds of things. He said there's always a silver lining, and if it's not obvious, then I will go find it. And he said, I used to do Reiki on my baby, and all of the, and he's like, and I ate a gummy. And I'm like, I did too. And he's like, I'm on my way to go investigate. We're on the airplane. We both ate gummies. And he goes, I'm on my way to California to investigate a weed farm to invest in. I'm like, you are my guy. So we're right there on the airplane. We tried to friend request each other. Well, neither of them went through, and we can't undo it. We're just stuck in this perpetual limbo. So we can't be friends. We can't undo our request to start over again. And he's convinced that it's some kind of intentional, clandestine, you know,
separation
connection, because we can't be public. I think he's onto something with that too, because I feel like he is not ready to learn about me or something, because I'm a little
They're hiding you from him.
So
you're being cloaked.
So do you think that that's true? Do you think that they're fucking with Facebook in order for me to get these messages or whatever, connect with these people at certain times? Because the first one was iffy, but when it happened again and the timing of that, I was like, this is not an accident. What do you think?
No, I think it is. I think that it is a timing thing, and I think that you can see it. I think you're aware of it, and I think you're being aware of it. I mean, it's a slippery slope. But I think that, too, is something interesting. And then we watched this today, and it kind of confirms that.
It really did.
Yeah.
And thing number 2 is like, I don't know why you couldn't find me. There's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, I'll tell you why you couldn't. I couldn't find you.
John Smith.
Well, I couldn't find him because I wasn't meant to. And so he's like, I don't like Facebook. There's drama all the time. And I'm like, this wasn't drama. This was a trigger. This was intentional. It's trippy. That's weird.
Trigger. I guess drama follows trigger. No, I think that's true, and that's true. I do think that. Yeah, and drop in what you think. And so in the movie, the whole thing is they've tried free will. They've tried it, and they said we did really we were kind of in control of helping people get where they needed to be and stay on path with their...
For the greater good.
Well, but it's also... Okay, so you've heard me say, Carrie, that I feel that we come in and we have these paths and we have these missions, and I was just telling somebody this today. We have these missions that we come in with, and then it's like squirrel, you know, and it's we get, well, I mean, we get this, okay, so like if it's your heart light, think ET, and you have this light, and it has your coding for your message. I know, it's really cool. I don't know how you're doing that. And you have your coding for your messages or for your mission. And then love, lust, greed, happiness, I mean, like all these different things kind of calcify it. Like it creates this callus on it, right?
Yeah.
So, and then something, usually some sort of a reset or an adjustment has to happen in order
to get you back on path.
Get you back, whether it's a sickness, it's a death, it's a...
Well,
so, but I think it will go. My thought will go. I think that in this, that's why they took control, is that it's like, okay, everybody has to stay in your lane. This is what you agreed to do. You need to do it. No swerving. And so then they say, okay, hands off. And then they call him not the chancellor, but the main guy, God. And they said, okay, now it's time to let them drive their own car. And all of a sudden they're like, next thing we know, you know, you have World War I, World War II, you know, the bomb, you're trashing everything. So we're taking back control again. And then, but this is where I'm going with this, is that I feel like at the end, love overcame it. And the chancellor, whatever they call him, God was inspired by his love for her, because he was willing to give up being completely erased.
Right.
Which makes
in
me
order
think,
to explain. Yeah.
And like they were saying, if you tell anyone what you know, we will completely erase you, meaning your personality. It's like you've had a complete breakdown.
And your family won't understand why you're acting so nutters. You'll lose everything.
You'll lose everything. And he was willing at the very end to do that for her. And then he asked her, he's like, will you take my hand? Do you trust me? And she said, yes.
And I get that too, man. You will do it at any risk. Any risk, you will go for that love. You just will.
Well, but then what happened is they, as the adjuster said, you were never supposed to see that there was a veil, and you were never supposed. Not only were you not supposed to look behind the veil, you were not supposed to ever know that there was a veil. And so not only did he see it, know it, reject it, and so God gave him free will. And it showed the book, because this book was always like a moving map, and based on where to adjust and that. And they always carried these books around. And then at the very end, they were together, and there was nothing. Because they had told him at one point that not only will you lose everything, she will too. You know, she's supposed to be this dancer that is world famous.
I got commentary on that, and one of the things that I was told as a twin, I'm really relating this personally, I know, is that you guys can't be together at the same time. It has to be this push-pull. That's the way it is.
Why?
Because the love is so intense, and I could see this. I could just see us being in the cave and just never untangling and dying of starvation, because we don't care about anything. And it really, I mean, it's not like that for me right now, but it has been. And if two people are in that same place, you're not going to do what you're meant to do. She's not going to go off and be that, master choreographer, and he's not going to be the president of the United States.
Well, that burning desire is going to be gone.
Right, but you know what?
He'll be happy.
I understand, like, for the bigger picture, that sucks, but for them, who gives a shit? They're happy. Who cares if she doesn't, because they said she's going to teach 6-year-olds ballet or whatever instead
as opposed to being this world
famous. But you know what? In our world, though, you know how it is. It's like, if it doesn't happen right here, then you'll get another opportunity there. So I'm going to say, like, realistically, it's like, when you do your own journey, if you don't get it right the first time, you're offered another opportunity. Well, I believe the universe is like that too. And if Matt Damon wasn't going to come and save the world through his presidency, then they can just go ahead and find literally another candidate. There's lots of people out there. Find somebody else to contract. You might have to do it a little later.
You gotta have some people in the queue,
Right. Don't put all your eggs in that one Matt Damon basket.
I don't know. He's pretty cool.
He is.
But if you didn't, but think of it this way: if there's no such thing as free will, and they're doing the adjustments, they don't need a backup.
Right.
They just don't need a backup. But I think it is the equivalent. Like I said before, I think that's not working. I think it's the equivalent of pulling out of the Matrix. I think it is. You're on your own, and I think that when we wake up, which is what he did, when we wake up, we pull out of the Matrix, and the rest is up to us.
Yeah.
you know, and all of a sudden you have all these incredible opportunities. And anyway, I just think
it's true. Incredible opportunities to create your own reality. He wasn't taking any shit from their version of his reality. He's like, hell no, I love this girl. And she, you know, he hurt her a couple times, but her pull to him was so strong. She's like, I'm going with you. I know, on some level, I trust it.
Well, he hurt her because he left her in the hospital. Like they
didn't explain it yet. He wasn't ready to.
Well,
right. They manipulated her situation to get her in there.
And so she was dancing, and she sprained her foot, and then they go to the hospital, and this is when, like, the big gun guy comes in, and he's like, you know, not only... And so, because he loved her, he already loved her, he said, I don't want to ruin her future and her dreams. Mm-hmm. So he walks out, and she's like, dude, you freaking left me in the hospital.
Right.
And then he explained it, and he said, I did it for a reason, and she...
she didn't need much convincing. I know she didn't even understand it, but once he opened up the office door and goes into the baseball field.
They're in a bathroom.
There's no
all of a sudden
arguing.
They're at Fenway. I know they're not at Fenway. I know, or maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know what ballparks.
I don't know.
But anyway, so highly recommend it. So on a 0 to 5, what would you give it?
Ooh, 0 to 5. I'm going like 4.8.5. I liked it a lot.
I love Matt Damon. I'm going to go with a 5. And Emily Blunt, and my sister's daughter. I mean, I just adore her. I think she's just so beautiful and funny.
Then she's Mary Poppins.
And she's married to John Krasinski. You know, from
Funny
The
guy.
Office. He's cute. I know, he's cute. Jim.
Jim.
Poor guy. No, he's actually done a lot since then. And then they did that movie where they were really, really quiet. You know, where you couldn't say a word, or the...
I didn't see that one. Should I see it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't want to watch it. No, anyway, I don't like scary things. So, all right, that is it. We have more. If you have anything you'd like for us to watch,
yes,
I don't like
movies.
flute playing hippy dippy shit. I don't. I like good movies.
I like porn.
Gross. Nobody grows up and says, "Hey, I want to be a porn star."
Speak for yourself. Just kidding.
You can pretend. I don't like porn. I've never liked porn. I think porn feels icky. So anyway.
Babe.
All right. So stay tuned. We will do more. And I think the next one, actually.
What?
How about the next one? We'll just stick with Matt Damon and we'll do Hereafter.
Can I come too? Can I come to the party? Okay.
Yeah, maybe Sarah can come join us too.
Okay, let's do that. We'll have her bake us some popcorn.
Okay. On that note, yeah, give us some suggestions and go to AliceEatsTheApple.com, and there is a Hollywood films with metaphysical bents. There's a section there, so leave me a note. I think it's fun.
I do too.
I mean, we can only do we only get serious every now and then. All right, mwah.
Cheers. Ready? Ready? Here we go.